Great 2D platformers blend smooth, fluid gameplay with challenging level design. When development teams find the right balance of the two, we get the best controlling games on the market like Super Meat Boy or the recently released Lightfall. For an even deeper challenge, some platformers add a layer of combat on top, like with Rayman Legends. If one of those three pillars doesn't hold up, the entire game fails. Currently in development by Screwtape Studios, Damsel is a platformer that tries all three with varying degrees of success. In Damsel, you play as a government agent of the same name who is tasked with hunting vampires. Missions are based in 3 different areas, each with dozens of handcrafted minute-long stages. The short time frame is excellent. I can play for hours or get in a few missions during a break. Stages switch between a set variety of win states. Some of them provide straightforward tasks like saving all the civilians or killing every vampire. Other missions require you to gather collectibles or disable all bombs. Each goal that isn't a win state is relegated to a side quest for bonus points, meaning that a level where you must kill all vampires will still have civilians to save and collectibles to grab, as will a level that has you disabling all the bombs. I spent a good amount of time replaying missions to experiment and top my previous score. Through this, I noticed that with enough experimentation, I can blend each side goal with the primary goal so they can all be completed in one fluid chain of movements. I start my first attempt by picking off each vampire slowly and then untie all of the citizens. After retrying a couple of times, I can kill each vampire and untie civilians at the same time while gracefully flipping between platforms. Damsel has score leaderboards implemented as well, so we can spend hours perfecting each stage. While I appreciate the challenge that Damsel presents, it needs some fine-tuning in certain areas. The act of untying a citizen or defusing a bomb is too easy. All you have to do is walk up and mash the action button on the prompt. Some tasks require proper timing on your button press, but there isn't any penalty for missing, so it's only an illusion of risk. Rather than rushing over to the final bomb defusal, I take my time knowing that I can press Y a million times and it'll work. To be fair, this seems to be intentional to keep you in flow instead of spending all your time in prompt menus, but it's too lenient, especially when compared to the level of challenge presented by the rest of the game. These issues could be solved by lowering the number of prompt-focused goals and by forcing you to restart if you miss the proper timing. Damsel controls fantastically. She is quick and versatile with a dash and a double jump for maneuvering. After a short adjustment period, I speed over spikes and jump over groups of enemies with ease. Combat consists of Damsel's rechargeable shotgun, a close-range melee attack, and the dash mentioned above for blowing through vampires. These attacks are fine for the early levels, but difficulty climbs hard around 2/3 of the way through the first world. As Damsel scales up its enemies and obstacles, it fails to do the same with your moveset. You start each mission with 1 health point, while monsters tend to have 2 or 3. Stages have health barrels around for gathering more, but getting to them is relatively tricky most of the time. Then, you have to balance out 3 rechargeable shotgun shells between hordes of enemies, all while avoiding obstacles or hitting a civilian with your shots. This combination of skills leads to frantic gameplay that punishes you if you don't think before you act. I can't tell you how often I accidentally shot a civilian by firing off right when I got to a new platform instead of tactically planning my moves and watching for an opponent. It's tough to balance moving quickly and planning ahead, but the early missions do a good job teaching the right thought processes. However, especially by World 2, the opposition is so dense that your moveset begins to feel limited. I can only balance 3 shots between so many enemies before it starts to feel ridiculous. Some vampires can fly, and there are sections where they will respawn until you destroy a security camera. With all of this combined, you are sure to be retrying more often than you may like to. That's not to mention the larger vampires that throw you around, ones that fire RPGs, or the many obstacles scattered around stages. As fun as the levels are, eventually it becomes too much. Difficulty could be balanced by adding in shotgun upgrades or starting Damsel out with an extra heart during later missions. New objective and enemy types are introduced. Why can't new weapons and skills be added as well? Even with these difficulties, Damsel is still great fun to play. The team over at Screwtape Studios have established a strong foundation to build off of before the full release. Gameplay is fast and fun, the handcrafted stages flow well, and combat is a decent level of demanding even if the challenge scales a bit too quickly. These are all balance issues that can be fixed during the early access period, however. In its current state, Damsel has enough polished content to make it worth your time.